Good morning, teacher. Today I will explain different aspects about CAE exam. As first point, we have the different generalities. So, talking about the generalities, it's important to mention that the letters, CAE mean Cambridge Advanced English. This exam tests the use of English skills, and it lasts approximately 4 hours. It's important to say that this exam is divided into 4 parts. The first one is reading, use of English, and the next one is listening, the third one is writing, and the last one is speaking. In this case, we will explain different aspects about the part reading and use of English. So it's divided into 8 parts, and the first part is called multiple choice clause. And the multiple choice clause contains a short text, and this text has different missing gaps or missing words. So we have to complete with different language chunks such as collocations, idioms, or we can use 2 different linking words. Here we have different tips, but I will explain those tips using those examples. We have here the text, and it's important to read really carefully. Then we have to check the different words around the gap, and according to those words, we have to select the correct answer. We have different options, so it's kind of easy. We have the same keys for this example. We will see the example of the gap too. In this case, we have a determiner, so it means that we will need a noun. So that's why we have to select this option. The next part is called open close. This is the part 2. This is also a short text. However, we have different gaps or some missing words, but in this case, we have to write the correct answer. So we have to complete it with different parts of speech, such as collocations, quantifiers, and different auxiliary verbs. Let me explain the different tips with those examples. We have two examples. So let's see the first one. In this case, we have to read the whole text, then look the words around the gap and analyze the different collocations that we have and compare with the words that we have before and after the gap. In this part, we have to write to the answers, and the procedure is the same. We have to look around the gaps, then analyze the answer according to the different language chunks and select not exactly select, but think about the correct answer. So in this case, the first answer is into.
On part 3, we have word formation. Here we will know that the main focus of this part is vocabulary. Also, it involves a short text with 8 gaps. The exercise provides a base form of the word, so we have to be very careful about the affixation of every word. Maybe we need prefixes or suffixes to change parts of the speech into others. So some tips to do this part in a good way is to read the whole text first to get a context. Also to read the words around the gap to get a better idea about the missing words. So read before and after the gap. Work out what part of a speech is the missing word. It could be a noun, a verb, an adjective, or an adverb, and how we can use prefixes and suffixes to change one into other. And also we have to be very careful about the ways in which they can change. It could be singular or plural, positive or negative, or any other kind of change in general. So here we have some examples of how we can use this. So let's say in example number 1, we have number 17, how to speed up and encourage the of plants. We don't know the context about this text, but we know that we have an article that is the before the gap. So we know that it's noun, because always before a noun, we have an article. So in the case of grow, we have to add th to make it a noun. Also the case of, for example, number 22, that is discovery. They made an amazing discovery. How we know that is a noun? Because we have an adjective first. So we know that is amazing, a noun, the amazing discovery. In example number 2 happens the same. For example, in number 4, the police closed the investigation, the article investigation. And also in number 9, the example of an adjective. The company produces a stylish car. So in this case, we have cars, that is a noun, and before a noun, we need an adjective to describe those cars. Then we have in part number 4, keyword transformation. So here we have the language skill that is paraphrasing. The main focus is grammar. Here we have 6 leading sentences and a keyword. And we have to use this keyword as part of the word that we need to fill in, that are 3 to 6, and we don't have to change it. So some tips to do this is first to read both sentences. First, in order to understand the content and the meaning. Then to identify the keyword from and how can be included. Contractions count as 2 words, so be careful with that. And also there are 4 possibilities: comparative and superlative, phrasal verbs, set of expressions, and formal structures. So In example number 1, let's see here, we have the example 69. When it comes to population, Beijing is much bigger than Outland. So here the root word is populated, or the stem word. So Beijing is much more populated. Why? Populated, we remain the word. Also bigger, we change it into much more to remain the comparative form. And example number 2, we have in number 4, I didn't realize what she would suffer in the first place. So here we have the word did. So we know that when we have these root words that did, that we need to make it formal. So Laura did, I realized what she would suffer in the first place. We change it from informal to formal place.
Well, I'm going to talk about part number 5, that is multiple choice. So it's important to note that it assesses your ability to read. Also, here we are going to find a long test, and we must answer 6 multiple choice questions. Also, there are 4 options with letter A, B, C, and D, but just one option is the correct answer. Also, I have 4 important tips. That the first one is to read quickly the passage to have the main idea of the text. Also, we have to read the questions to have the idea and to underline the keywords, and then we have to read the answers. Also, it's important to know that if you are stuck between 2 answers, make sure all the details of an option are in the passage, and finally check that the overall meaning is correct. Also, here we can see 2 different examples with the long test and the 6 question with the different options. Also, I'm going to talk about the part number 6, that is cross-text multiple matching, that it assesses the ability to read, understand, and compare different opinions or attitudes. Also, here we are going to find 4 short texts and 4 questions about them with a multiple choice option, and also we must answer with the letter of each of the texts. So, for example, the first text is letter A, the second text is letter B, and so on. Also, here we have 4 important tips, like the first one is read the title and text quickly to get the main idea of the text, and also analyze the questions. And we have to find the required information about the question, and also we have to compare the opinions or attitudes and choose the correct answer. So here we can see the first example, and then here we can see the second example that with the 4 short text and the different questions and the squares that we have to put the letter. And that's all.
I'm Danielle, and this is part 7, which is called gap text. And basically, it is a text in which 6 paragraphs have been removed. When these paragraphs are separated, they are not in order. That's why they are jumbled paragraphs, and the main objective is to decide where these paragraphs fit in the text. In addition, this exam includes 1 extra paragraph that won't be used at all. For that reason, it's important to understand the text as a whole. I mean, to see how the argument or the narrative is organized. Careful reading is also relevant to recognize reference words or near synonyms, and it is also important to identify the logical development of the text. I mean, to understand what is in the beginning, what is in the middle, what is in the end. And according to the tips, first we have to read the base text carefully. Base text is, of course, the text with the gaps. And then we have to read the text around each gap and predict. Afterwards, we have to read the missing paragraph and think about the purpose they serve. So it's also prediction. And of course, there will be certain options that make sense in that gap, but there's always one best option. That's why we have to choose it. And finally, we have to read the whole text again in sequence to see if the text makes sense. Here we have an example, number 1. So in this first part, it's talking about a tradition, a Christmas tree tradition in Norway, and the only, as you can see in the missing paragraphs, the only option that talks about the tree is option number 4. That the only one that's talking about the tradition. The same we have with number 2 about geek squads, and it's talking about 2 cubs. And option letter E, it says they, so that's the only paragraph that describes the cubs. Finally, part A is multiple mention. It is a text divided into paragraphs, or we can say they are short texts, which are labeled as section A, section B, or consultant A, B, and so on. Then we have 10 multiple mention questions, so the idea is to match those questions with the section of the text. And the main objective is to understand details, attitudes, opinions, and specific information. Of course, the tips, we have to read the questions, know the text. only the questions and mark the keywords. Because here we have to apply scanning skills to scan the sections and identify the parallel phrases. We have to read the chosen section once again, and finally, if we are not sure, we have to go on to the next question. We have to move on because it's not necessary to understand the main idea. It's just to identify some keywords that have connection between the question and the paragraphs. For example, here we have, as I said before, the text divided into sections, in this case consultant A, B, C, D, etc. And here we have the first question. Keep your final objective in mind when you are planning to change jobs. Change jobs is the keyword here. And as you can see here in section D, it says to move on from your first job. So that's the meaning of changing jobs. The same with example number 2. It says a story in which someone is unaware of the impact of the action. So unaware here is a keyword. And as you can see here, it says the woman little realized. So this paragraph has connection with the question. And that's it. Thank you so much.